How you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. As always, it's wonderful to see your beautiful shining face.
Well, thank you. It's very nice to see yours as well.
Thank you. You got anything cool you doing today? Did you go to the Denver Nuggets parade?
I didn't. Really, honestly, today is just kind of a lounge, not really lounge around the house, but just kind of get chores done because
Mm-hmm.
technically my work week starts tomorrow.
Ooh, what you got going on tomorrow?
Well, other than like my actual like shoot job,
Oh, shoot job.
there is the Battleground Pro Wrestling show Crossfire at the Johnstown Spirits Music Hall.
That's gonna be a
Uh,
fun one. Who you facing tomorrow night?
I am facing Caleb Crush.
Ooh, boy, that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, Crush Daddy is that's a recently on AEW. They're
Yeah,
legit. They can
that
go.
I didn't know that either, and then I saw that, and I was just like, oh great, now I really can't mess this up. Okay, cool. How did you really good in this
Hey,
match?
rarely do you mess anything up in that ring. You're a shining golden knight.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate that.
What else you got going on this weekend? Any other wrestling shows?
um, I will be at the Colorado Springs Wrestling Show, Headlocks for
Up
Hospice,
there. Oh, up
and
there. Colorado Springs.
yeah, up there, that one right there, or
Nope,
yes,
nope.
this
Yep, there
way.
you
Yep,
go.
right there. Here we go.
Yeah.
I will be wrestling at that show
Who
on
you
Saturday.
gotta do
Yes.
you know your opponent yet? Or
So I know that I originally was in a triple threat match with the Carney and Asher James, the current TikTok
Mhm.
champion. But I believe there's a fourth stipulation that's been added to our match. It's just kind of like a surprise, though. I'm not sure who it is. But yeah, so it's a
Okay.
fatal four way. As far as I know, it's a fatal four way.
That'll be fun. That'll be
Yeah.
fun. Is that it? You got anything else going on the next weekend after that? Or is that kind of the end of
I
June for wrestling?
I think for June, that's the end of wrestling for me. Actually, the 25th on Sunday, I'll be doing a benefit for a friend of mine whose father passed away. Uh,
Oh.
I believe it's to help, just like raise money and all that stuff.
Go ahead and give some
Help.
light to that. What's the name of the show?
I don't know what the name of. I'm not sure what the name of the show is. It's Anubis who's
Ah,
putting
yes.
on the show. Yeah, so I know that he's been asking a bunch of people to come and wrestle, and so I've decided to take part in that. That's also the same weekend as the Denver Pride Festival, so I'm going to try
Okay.
to make it down to Denver for that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Pride, we just finished up at Joan Jetson's big queer launch. That was
Yes,
a
we did.
great show. Unfortunately, you lost a little bit of something. What
I
happened? Go ahead and fill us in on what happened there.
So Frenchy took on Ham, the flying lucha pig, and
Mm.
my Primo's chopping block championship was on the line, and I lost the title to Ham. Congratulations to Ham. He's been doing this for a while, and he
Mm-hmm.
deserved it. Uh, but yeah, I lost my title. I'm a little sad about it. Um, I learned some things though, like I'm the kind of person that like learns from my mistakes. So when I get my rematch, if I get my rematch, I should be getting my rematch. I hope I get my rematch.
I'm gonna make sure that clause is enacted. All right. I have a little bit of ties. Continue.
I mean, whatever you can do to help Frenchie out, I will. I know that I'm going to double up on my training because there's a lot I need to work on.
Good.
That's kind of what I take from each match: what I did right, what I didn't do right, and then how to not do that again.
Well, I mean, if we go back to your first matchup, that was a loss. But from
It,
there, you went on
it
a
was.
tear and went undefeated. So what you're
I
saying
guess
is
you're
completely
right. I did.
true. So
Yeah.
you do have that determination to learn from a loss, and that's rare. I mean, I know people don't really like the LeBron James guy too much. Some people hate him, some love him, but that dude can fight through some of the most terrible losses and overcome at the end of the day. Just like yourself, what's been your favorite match so far that you've had in your short career? But I mean, a lot of bangers. Let's be honest.
Oh, my favorite match. See, I'm
What's
not
up,
trying to play
Chad?
like
Lucy in the house. Sorry.
I'm trying not to pick like I won't. not gonna say favorites because I don't want to like feel anyone feel left out because I've loved all of my matches. Like all of my opponents have been really great in the ring to work with.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna have to say my top three would probably be Anubis. I had a match with him. I think back in it was at Frank's Winter Beach Party in January.
Shout out to my
Um,
dad.
yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes. Rest in peace. Shout out to your dad. um, and then the second one would probably have had to have been Mondo Romero back in November at
Yeah.
Emergence. That was my debut match. It also happened to be my birthday, so it was kind of like a I don't know how to explain. It was a really good. It was a really cool experience. I used to celebrate my
Well, Mondo
birthday.
is so amazing too. You know, like Mondo is such a top talent. That,
Yeah, and
like,
he was very great. He was very nice, very great to
yeah,
work with. Really cool guy. The fact that he didn't beat me up after the match was over is very nice because that's happened a couple of times. Not at like
it
shows or really
happens.
anything. It's happened before where I should have probably exited when my exit was there, and then the other person was like, "Let me just take advantage of this."
Go ahead and get that
Um,
powder out real quick. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, just roll out as fast as you can. And then my third
We
one,
gotta keep going. No, you no shoot. Your third one.
um, my third one would have been the disrespectful young boys cup, just because
Yes.
not picking favorites because I mean I did walk away from that with a cup and a belt, but it was fun. It was my first time doing a fatal four way, and it was really nice. I was in there with a lot of great wrestlers.
Yeah, that was a really cool evening. Getting to see you hoist that cup and win the belt all in one night. That was spectacular, you know. I mean,
It
you put in
was
a lot of effort too at the butcher shop and it shined so bright that obviously you're getting all these great opportunities off of that. So it's really nice to see someone that's so genuine in the locker room genuinely get good spots within our Colorado scene. It's great to see, man.
yeah, and I'm very grateful for it too. It's very nice. I guess I don't realize how much time I actually log in at the butcher shop until people point it out to me. They're like, "You train a lot." I'm like, "Do I?"
A lot. I think the only person I see in pictures more than you outside the Colorado Click, because you guys really show up a lot together, is Urza. And now they're part of the click too. But
Yes, Urza is part of
you
the
gotta
clique.
stop them from hitting her, man. That
Hey,
ain't nice.
from what I heard, Urza volunteered to take all of the finishers. Okay, I was looking for her friendship bracelet. That wasn't on
Mhm.
me.
Speaking of, looking a little
Hey,
weak on my wrist.
you are. I'll have to get on that. I have to buy more beads for that.
Yes, that'll be fun. That'll
Special
be special
Rocco
edition.
beads.
Yep, special edition, glow in the dark. Get them while they're hot. Chad Kalina says rumor has it that Frenchy and the Colorado Click will be crashing the CWC Trios tournament.
That is a rumor I've heard. As for right now, I like to keep things a surprise, so I'm not going to confirm or deny that. Wink, wink. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Also, it's gonna be the first time that we all get to actually work together as the Colorado Click, aside from training.
That's gonna be fun. Just stay away from Chase's knee pads, please.
Oh yes, yes, I will. I definitely will.
Chad also said that Ham is keeping that keeping the title warm for the Mile High Misfit. So we'll see how that pans out. I think you got good chances of reclaiming what was rightfully yours.
I mean, again, don't get me wrong. Ham's a nice guy, nice person. He's
Oh yeah,
very great
love him.
lucha style wrestler. But I was kind of in the middle of bringing light back to the chopping block division, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he kind of just dimmed that light, and I want to go back to doing that because the chopping block division is for up and coming new talent, and it's really nice to get to beat them up every month.
Yeah, I bet. All them green kids. We gotta get you versus Vito Valino. My dog is losing their mind right now. He's just cheering you on. Frenchy. That's what I'm telling you.
That's great. That's awesome.
What was the path to wrestling? How did you take that path? Like where did you what was it? Did you were you a fan as a kid and then you always wanted to be a wrestler, or did you just kind of Was there a whole totally different, unique route?
So okay, this is kind of a bit of a interesting story. So when I was younger, I used to watch WWE with my uncle, my grandpa. Like I watched it with my dad. Like my family would watch it. Generally,
Sure.
we'd watch like SmackDown on Friday nights. I believe that's when it was. It's kind of a long time ago. And this is kind of where it's a hard story to tell because it was a little bit of a blur. I was an alcoholic for about 10 years, and so like when I try to think back that far, it's kind of can't really remember who it was that originally got me into it, but I just know that I used to love it. I was like, oh, this is so
Yeah.
cool. My family is actually really big into like amateur wrestling. And so like I always thought, oh, like I could be a wrestler too, but like a different kind of wrestler.
Did you
And
do amateur wrestling?
I briefly did do amateur wrestling.
Let's
I
go. Awesome.
was not good at it in any way, shape, or form. It was something about getting thrown. It's funny because people are like, you didn't like actual wrestling, but now you do professional wrestling, and it's like, well, it's different when you're getting thrown across the ring and you're going to get thrown across the ring as opposed to someone lifting you up and just throwing you. um and I have a lot of cousins. Like my dad's side of the family is very big, and so like little people like me, they're like, hey, I can throw him this way. So sorry, I'm getting off topic. So I used to watch it when I was
It's all good.
younger. um I'd say somewhere around like the early 2000s is probably when I stopped watching it. I can't remember what my reasoning was. I think I just kind of got either not really bored with it. I started. I think I stopped watching TV often. I was more like a reader growing up, uh, and I also had like limited TV time, so I wasn't really like I didn't really watch a lot of it anymore. So there was about a good 16, 17-year break in between the last time I watched wrestling and to the point that I started watching it again, and that was back in 2016. Then I started watching it, and it was kind of weird because it was when I was still actively drinking, like I was still an active alcoholic, and it was just one day I was just sitting there and I was thinking of a match in my head, and I was like, man, I wish I could watch that. And then I realized we live in the age of YouTube, so I could just Google it. And I was really big into women's wrestling. A lot of people make fun of me or would make fun of me for it because I really only watched the girls wrestle. And so
See,
this is in
that's
like
silly.
the
Hold on. No, I gotta stop right there because I'm such a huge like fan of the NXT. How they brought in the women revolution, I guess is what they wanted to call it. But it
the
was
Divas
so good.
Revolution.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, and I'm such a fan when I see the women division shine like it has. I would like start crying or like, like that's it gets me emotionally. Continue though. I gotta
Well, and that's where I was going into that too. Was so I watched women's wrestling back when it was like slap matches and bra and panty matches, or like the pool matches that they would have, where they have to push each
yeah.
other into the pool of mud or whatever it was. And so then one day I start watching it, and I think the original match I had looked up, I think it was like Trish Stratus versus Lita, or no, it was Trish Stratus versus Stephanie McMahon at No Way Out in like
Mm,
2001 or 2000 or something. It was the one where William Regal intervened, and
yeah.
I think Stephanie won or Trish, one of them won. But I started watching it, and then that was where it led me to like current women's wrestling, and so I started watching some of those matches, and I was like, oh wow, these girls really they've stepped up their game. Like holy shit, they're beating the shit
Hmm.
out of each other. Like damn. And then that was also kind of around the time as the women's revolution. So I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like they're doing ladder matches, they're doing cage matches, like they have tag
Yeah.
team matches. Like this was something I wanted when I was a child, and like now it's a thing. And so it was so cool to me.
Yeah.
And that was also where I discovered like some of my current favorite superstars. And then
Go ahead and name drop a few. Who are some of your favorites real quick?
some of my faves would be Paige or Soraya. She was Paige in
Okay.
WWE. She's Soraya in AEW. These are current, like obviously Trish Stratus, Lita, Mickey James, all of those. They're my first go tos. But currently, so there's Paige, the Bella twins. I'm a very big fan of Nikki Bella.
So is
AJ
my
Lee.
wife. You
I
guys have to, yeah, you guys have to talk about that. She's a humongous fan of Nikki.
yeah,
Like ridiculous.
I love Nikki Bella. Their birthday is actually the day after mine. Um, Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
It's
cool.
crazy. My life
I
kind of
see
came
you in
full
your. You
circle.
have a. Don't you have a Bella Twins hat too?
I have two Bella twin sets. Yes.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so the Bellas and then AJ Lee was another one. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
AJ Lee and Paige were the first ones I discovered when I started rewatching it. And I
Yeah.
always just kind of thought that her Black Widow submission, I thought that that was so cool, like the transition into it from like the tilt-a-whirl head scissors into the Black Widow. And so I was kind of like, huh, I wonder if I could do that. Like I'm small like her, so I could probably do that move. And it was actually funny because at the time, the guy I was dating, I would make him watch wrestling with me, and he would always just he'd always just be like, "This is so fake, this is so fake," and I'm like, "Well, shut up and watch it." And so I would get drunk and I would try to practice that move on him because I'm like,
Oh
I'm pretty sure
no.
you, yeah. And don't try this at home. Do not try this
Yeah.
at home.
So
Like,
please don't
you,
try this at home. Please
you,
do not.
especially under the influence. Just don't do it unless you're around a trained professional. And so, I was like, huh, I could probably do that because I'm kind of like a visual learner. So I'm like, oh. And then it turned out that I kind of ended up taking that move and making it into my own form of that for my submission move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it ended up working out for me. I thought it was really cool.
That's awesome.
But that was kind of where I got back into wrestling, was watching the women's revolution. And then I got kind of more. I still watch like the men wrestle, of course. Like
Yeah.
some of my other favorite superstars are like The Miz and Daniel Bryan,
I
Finn
love the
Balor.
Miz. Isn't he
I
great?
I love The
People
Miz.
talk so much dumb trash, and it's like, dude, he has you by your balls, and you don't even understand. Like his
He's
giant balls are all in your face, and you don't
holy.
get it. Okay, they just don't. Man, they has him eating out of the palm of his hand every time he cuts
And
promo.
they
So
love to hate him too. It's my
yeah, it's
favorite.
so yeah. I mean, I think especially in this like smart era now, we like have that idea of, oh, we're supposed to not like this guy, we're supposed to like this guy.
Yeah,
And in
don't cheer
some
that guy.
ways
Cheer
that
that
makes
guy.
yeah, and so in some ways it's like, okay, we're supposed to be cheering this guy. Well, I'm not going to. But then there you like Mike, the Miz, he has that ability where he's like, you're supposed to be booing me, and I'm doing all this to be a bad guy. It's all fake, but we buy into it. We love it. We're like, oh, this is so much fun to boo him and like to egg
He's
him
like
on or see.
charismatic in a very negative like way, but
Oh,
like
it's so good.
it's still good.
It's so solid. So from there, what how did you end up finding, the butcher shop and, finding training and getting into wrestling yourself?
Okay, so the way that ended up, what had ended up happening was I started watching it, and I've actually also been following a lot of the independent Colorado wrestlers, people like Caleb Crush, um, RJ Karanen. I've been like kind of following them because I've actually known them personally outside of wrestling, and then I found out, oh, they're professional wrestlers. That's so cool. So I would watch, like I kind of live vicariously through them. And I had originally tried another schooling option, but I didn't, it wasn't really for me. I didn't, just wasn't really for me. So I kind of just gave up a little bit. I didn't really give up, but I just kind of stopped trying to pursue this dream of mine because I thought, okay, this is a little ridiculous. I should probably go to actual college. But then Hunter Gray's wife, Marissa Gray, sorry to name drop, she actually, we went to we went to high school together for a brief period, and so we knew each other I've known her for a while too. She we were talking about a wrestler on someone's Facebook post, and I told her how I wanted to train, but I couldn't find a school within the area that was within like my affordable reach. And then she
Yeah.
referred me to Mr. Joe Vernola. uh
Who?
yeah, Mr. JV himself.
Don't name
She
drop the
referred.
boss around me, man, and get scared.
Oh, same, right? Like, oh, sorry. I hope you don't fire me.
Oh shit. Oh god.
But she referred me to him and the Primo's Butcher Shop. I should also say this too. Caleb Crush had also referred me to the Butcher Shop, but when he did, I was kind of in like a funk, and I kind of like I brushed it off because I was in that state of like, well, I don't think I can do this anyway. So, and then after a while of like after I had like gotten all my stuff together and I was good to go, that's when Marissa was like, "Hey, you should train here." And I'm like, "Oh." So it's kind of weird how the universe sends you opportunities when like you're ready for them. And so yeah, then I ended up going in for a tryout and seeing everybody train. And I was like, all right, well, I like this. I like the people here. The environment's everyone here is very welcoming and very friendly. I think I'm going to do this because it's something that I want to do. Like there hasn't been a lot of things in my life that I've done for myself.
Yeah.
And so this was about a year after I'd gotten sober. I had decided, originally I'd gotten sober, and then a year later I started looking into school, like training. Then I had some setbacks, waited another year, finally had my stuff together again. And then I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so that was how I found my way to the butcher shop. Thank you again, Marissa and Caleb.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Holler.
That's cool. Yeah, no, the butcher shop is God, it's such a and me and Major Glory were kind of talking about it too. Really, and Joe Vernal, anyone I really talked to that has, run through that area, the butcher shop specifically, it's such an affordable school. It's something that like you see, and I'm not gonna call them out, but there's other schools that have really, really high pricing.
High
And
pricing and high expectations.
yeah.
Like, I mean, we all live in real life. Like we have to be able to afford the process of training. We have to be able to, make time for it.
Mhm.
And there are some places that just they don't see it that way. They see if this is your dream and you want to do this, you got to commit to it. And it's like, okay, well, I can't pay for tuition if I don't have the money coming in to pay for it, and I can't make money off
Yeah.
of being a wrestler if I don't train. So you're kind of just leading me down like I don't know how to explain it, like a rabbit hole, something like that.
Yeah, it's messed up. It's a weird position to be put in. Because I've seen a few people come from and to, and yeah, I hear the exact same thing almost every time. It's like, man, I was spending an arm and a leg over there and not getting anything. The same people are getting the same stuff. Meanwhile, I switch my routine up, go down to the butcher shop, and boy, it's like you guys blossom. And then I'm seeing you guys throughout Colorado. We're all on different shows and traveling the state. And that kind of gets, there's a lot of people that kind of poo poo on that too, just traveling the state. But man, that's getting you guys a lot of experience, and then it's getting you guys out of state bookings too. So it's like I'm just watching you guys grow, and I'm proud of the click specifically because Major Glory had a really similar story about getting into wrestling. He kind of wanted to do it, had someone tell him about the school. Then he was like, backed out, and then came back to it years later. So it is crazy how that circle always falls back.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it was the butcher shop is really cool because they really kind of work with you. Like there's a lot of things that I doubt myself a lot. Like I second guess myself a lot. It's just something I've always done. And so like when I first started training, I was kind of like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And it's not like instead of being like, oh well, there's the door. If you can't do it, you can't do it. It was like, all right,
Yeah.
well, let's work with you. What can you do? What do you want to learn how to do? And like honestly, Joe McDougall, he has helped me kind of break down barriers within myself because there's a lot of things that he's had me learn that I was like, I don't think I can do that. Like I'm scared of that. I don't know if I can do that. And then now I can do it just fine. Like I can do it just perfectly. It's like that push that I need. I'm very weird about stepping out of my comfort zone, which is why wrestling is like
Same.
another thing too. Like
Same.
I'm a really big introvert. Which is funny because people who knew me when I was drinking were like, "No, you're not," and I'm like, "Well, the alcohol helps."
Dude.
But the yeah, like so a lot of times like Primos is really just kind of they haven't pushed me so far out of my comfort zone that I'm uncomfortable, but they've given me the nudge in the right direction, and then
Yeah.
it's kind of up to me to get that confidence to do it, which I'm still kind of working on. I get very nervous
No,
still.
it's very very much a trait of Joe McDougall's to be able to put someone out of their comfort zone and watch them thrive in that setting. I'd always done over ear commentary. So it was, you're in your own little space, in your own little zone. And then I get to Primos and they're like, here's a microphone. You talk over the speakers. And I was like, what? I'd never done anything like that. So it was almost like doing stand up to an extent. And so you have to have like material, but you also have to be calling the match, and you have to be interacting with the crowd. And it was something I'd never done. And so for those first, God, I'm sure Tyra me and Tyra have talked about it a few times. But I wasn't very good at it early on. I mean, if I had a good partner, next to me, I was doing all right. But boy, as soon as I didn't have a partner, I had to find my way. I can specifically remember the Christmas show that we had, and I just tanked. And it was terrible. And I was like, oh, I should just quit, right? But then Joe McDougal is such a he brought that, oh no, you're great, man. I love you. You're good at what you do. Even the great ones have an off night or and just does what he does. And next
He
thing you
leaves
know,
no
you're
room for
back at that
doubt
next
too.
show.
Like
Yeah.
he doesn't let you doubt yourself. Like you're like, I'm sorry,
No.
I messed that up. And he's like, no, you didn't. You're fine. You did this right. You did that right. You're fine. Keep going. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you for that pep talk.
One of the good ones, one of the someone that I'll lean into if I'm having a bad day, there's someone that you can I mean, gosh, there's been plenty of times where, I'll make a little poo-poo post where I'm feeling down, and then the first person in my inbox is Joe McDougal. He's like, dude, you good? What do you need? Need some help? We'll just hang out. Like, just a great guy. So this Primos culture is really brought and built off of his mentality. And it's
He's
beautiful
both
to
a
see.
very,
But also,
very, very loving, understanding, and like
yeah,
accepting company. Like he has a very like I I had heard things about Primos from other people that wasn't they were just negative. And
right.
I didn't let it deter me, so I decided I checked it out myself. I'm like, wow, this is actually a great welcoming place. So I would recommend the butcher shop for anyone who wants to train. Like
I've yet to
that's what
have
I would
any.
recommend.
I've yet to have any weird issues. Any even in locker room, anything. Like there was like one person, but they're out of the scene now. They're not here anymore.
Yeah, and
So
I'm not name dropping on that either. There were
no, no.
people in the past who have said somewhat not negative things, but just they kind of we would try to bury Primos and
Their
like
experience was different than ours.
yes, and so like my experience with them has been really great, and it's like again, it's like I found like like my wrestling family. Like I found them in I love it. It sucks because I've gotten so comfortable that like it makes me kind of nervous to step outside of that and wrestle for like other promotions like CSW or like
Mm-hmm.
Battleground or CWC. I've gotten so comfortable around these people, and that's because they've helped me come out of my shell. So I need to kind
Yep.
of just keep pushing myself out of my shell like that, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, majorly you push yourself out of your shell when you overcame alcohol. That's something that I don't know if you really want to talk about that, but like,
Oh, we can if you want to.
what led to you that moment where you're like, I can't keep doing this anymore? Because I have a very similar story too. But what was your moment there?
It was a lot of things. It was kind of like I was in a relationship back in 2018, and it didn't end very well for either of us. The person I was with, they themselves were a recovering addict, and I was still actively drinking, and it kind of brought back out their addiction tendencies, and the relationship just went horrible. And then from there, I kind of just spiraled. Like 2019 was not my year at all. Like I went downhill as fast as I possibly could. And then once I hit rock bottom, I just kind of kept digging deeper down. And it was also there's other factors. Like it was that, and then on top of that, back when I was 16, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I kind of thought, oh, if I ignore it or brush it under the rug, it's not going to bother me anymore. It can't hurt me, and I was wrong. It just got worse. So I was self medicating with alcohol, and it kind of got to a point where like I had gotten in trouble with the law. I got a DUI in 2019. I wasn't having like a lot of my friends and family. They kind of they turned the other way. Like they didn't want to have to deal with me, and it was very kind of hard to deal with like struggling with my own addiction and then have to do it by myself because nobody was
Yeah.
really there to be like, hey, you got this. And a lot of people actually didn't believe me at first when I first got sober. They thought I was lying, and that's on me because there were points in time where I had said I was sober and I was
That's
just really
huge of you
not.
to say that. That is so big of you to say that, because so many people will look back and go, no, they don't. This, it's that's them. They're the problem. Even at post getting sober, that's humongous that you can be like, yo, I built that. That's me crying wolf 10 times and then being like, can I trust you right now? That's humongous.
Yeah, and so when I got sober, and again, it wasn't something I advertised. Like I kept it quiet. But I had to change my whole life around. Like I couldn't keep doing it, and it got to a point. So what eventually led to me getting sober was I kind of just I took a look at my life, and I wasn't happy with it. Like I was so unhappy and depressed, and I didn't like it. And I had also gotten to a point, like physically, like health wise, where like the doctors were essentially like, hey, like if you keep doing this, you're not going to make it to your 30s. And on top of that, every time that you try to quit drinking and you have to go through the detox process, it's going to get harder and harder and harder, and you might not make it out of that either. And I had shit to do. Like I had this life in my head that I wanted, and I wasn't going to get it from just sitting on my ass and getting drunk all the time. Like the pints of Fireball I used to down, they weren't going to get me anywhere. They were just,
Yeah.
I was broke. And then another issue too was like, I don't know, like I don't condone addiction. If you have an addiction problem and you recognize it, you can always get help. There's always help there for people who like Hogwarts. There's always help for those who ask for it. Um,
I'm wearing my
but
Hogwarts socks right now. I got Slytherin and Gryffindor on my feet.
nice, I love it. um, but I got to a point where I wasn't able to afford my own addiction. Like I was starting to lie, and not necessarily steal, but I was just starting to lie so I could get drunk. And I didn't like that about myself. I had always, I mean, not that it's a boasting thing, but it was like, if you can't afford your habit, don't do it. And I was getting to a point where I was having to beg people to buy me alcohol or get me drunk, and like doing other things to get drunk. And I just wasn't okay with that. And so one of the times I had quit drinking in April of 2020. Um, and I went about a month, and then I had a relapse. And then after that relapse, I don't remember what it was. I know I pissed off a lot of people. I made a lot of people upset, and it wasn't a good time. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to get sober. I can't do this anymore. Like it's gonna suck. I'm gonna feel like shit for a couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks, but I need to get sober. And so I called up my aunt, because there are certain family members in my family who wouldn't allow me to be drunk. Like they either wouldn't come around me when I was drinking, or I couldn't come around them and drink. And so I called my aunt up, and she came and picked me up and took me down to her house in the Springs. And I spent, I think it was Memorial Day weekend there, and I just detoxed. Like it was a very rough process. It was horrible, horrible, horrible detox experience. Um, and I eventually, like I just quit. Once I got into the full effect of like sobriety, and I started getting all of my stuff together, I just didn't have time for drinking anymore. And like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, because sometimes people call me a hypocrite, because there have been times in the past couple of years since I quit drinking where I've enjoyed a drink or two. But that's because like I know where I stand with alcohol. I know what my limits are now. Um, it's not like I drink often, and I don't recommend it to anybody, but like
Mm.
if I want to go to Vegas and have a couple of drinks with some friends, and that's all that is for me, then that's my recovery. And I know when to stop, and if I should even pick up the bottle at all or not. Actually, I shouldn't say bottle, because I don't even drink out liquor anymore. It would just be a beer, like a beer or two.
I know, yeah, I have a very similar experience, and that's kind of where I lie on it too. I can drink socially, and there's times
Yes.
that I'll get a little drunk, but God, I've had the same beers in the fridge for 3 months now, the exact same tequila on the counter, like with this much out of a big old, huge bottle for God, 4 or 5 months. And yeah, I'm very proud of you for
Thank you.
overcoming that, especially with alcohol being so accessible. It's a
Yes.
drug that
It's like glorified
Heroin
almost.
addiction may be worse to an extent, you know, it might there, but God, if you get out of your state and you're in a place where you don't have your connections, you're not gonna find that shit. With alcohol, you can just walk down the street and get yourself a beer, and you can hide it behind your friend's back if you want. You know, you can do a Gatorade bottle or the trick. You know, so I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you coming as far as you have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot. But yeah, that was just kind of what happened. Was ended up getting sober, and then it was like I slowly had to get my life together. So I worked. I put myself on like a routine. Like I worked 2 jobs for a year. I had 1 day off for that entire year. And like there was this post that I saw. It was a quote on Facebook, and it was like, "Your new life is going to cost you your old one." And now, like when I look back on it, like it's true. It did. Like I can never go back to being that Frenchy, because it's just that life is over. It doesn't exist for me anymore.
Yeah.
There was a point where I had a bit of a relapse. I was still kind of in the sobriety, like learning what my triggers and stuff like that were, and I did set myself back a little bit. But I when that happened, I took a look at it and I was like, this isn't the same. It's not fun anymore. It doesn't feel good. Like I get to this point where like nobody wants to even be around me. So I don't want to do this. And I have too many things in my life that I can't give away. And if I give them away because of this, I can't get them back as easily as I did.
You got a fan in the chat, someone by the name of Oh Fuck Yeah. I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much. You've come so far, Heart.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Got a Facebook user too saying big moves. So, you know, you have been making awesome moves in your life. That's awesome to hear that you've overcome a lot of the demons from the past. And, you know, maybe they weren't demons. I don't know, but
they were demons, because there was what it was like, now that I've had a lot of time to look back on my drinking, it was there was a lot of stuff that happened in my childhood that I didn't deal with, or I just didn't. Like I said, I swept it under the rug. And then there was the unmedicated bipolar disorder, which when you add alcohol to that fire, you get a very interesting explosion.
We're at Burning Man. Yeah, you're the man that's on fire. Got you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your life is on fire and you're trying to put the instead of like water, you're using gasoline.
Yeah.
Are you there? Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. You're all fine. Yeah, we could hear you through the vibration.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was what it was. And then it led to me, I ended up I'm sober now. Like you were saying, I mean, I don't have a supply of alcohol on hand, but it's like I can be around it and be fine.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the Primo shows at the Roxy, which is kind of just a big party. Like everyone has drinks, and it's a big party, you know? So like having the strength to just overcome that, because I know the urge is somewhere there, you know, it's somewhere. I know that, you know, so it's like, damn, like, yeah, you're a strong individual. So finding wrestling it's very understandable. You filled that void with another like addiction, just a physical addiction.
And honestly, that's kind of what I did with wrestling. Like I've been going so hard in wrestling that like when I look back on it, I realize like, wow, I actually have been. There are weeks where I'm like, I'm gonna miss training one night this week, and then like I beat myself up about it, because for one, I don't like missing out on things, and two, I just don't like missing training. And then I'm like, man, like I hate that I missed this one day last week, even though I go like 3 to 4 times a week.
I'm gonna have to miss CSW on Saturday because I'm going to a concert with Lisa. We're going to Millennium at Empire Field.
I heard that's gonna be a very big show.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It's her favorite artist. I don't know nothing about them, but I'm not a Candy kid back in the day, so.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, so then you really need one of my friendship bracelets.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. We got to do it the right way, though. You know, you got to do it the right
peace,
way.
love, unity, respect.
Plur, that's how yes, plur, yeah.
And it's funny because when I go to give, because I came up with the idea, like, you know how the NWO used to like spray paint on their chests, or like the Outcasts do at AEW. I was like,
Yeah.
well, since I'm supposed to be like a good guy, what's a good way to give this to them without being like a dick about it? And I'm like, I'll give them a BFF bracelet because they've been BFF'd by the clique. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I'll go to give people the bracelets and they'll think that I'm like handing it to them, and then I grab their hand and slide it on, and they're like, "What?"
It's such like a you have to have been a part of that culture to understand what that means, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I wasn't really a part of that culture, but I had a lot of friends that were.
so
Um,
you still saw it, you know. I mean, you were still a part of it if your friends were a part of it. You saw them doing it and you knew enough.
yeah, and I've never been to a rave myself, but
What?
yeah,
Oh man. Oof. Gosh, the amount of raves that I've gone to in my days. Warehouse raves where it's just like, hey, we're meeting here at this time, and then there's like an art gallery upstairs, and not a real art gallery. It's like a warehouse where people have like set up their spray painting, like, you know, art
murals.
upstairs, and there's a fucking rave going on downstairs. Then the cops show up, and everyone's, oh man, I couldn't do that anymore. But boy, was it fun! It
Yeah,
was a
it sounded and it
blast.
looked like fun.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to go to an EDM show or something like that, definitely go. They're a blast. They're an
I've
awesome,
I've
awesome.
I've been wanting to. They look really
Millennium
fun.
is like $15 tickets, like $22 tickets right now. I
Really
mean, you're at the in general admission at the very top. Yeah, so you'd see me and Lucy there. We'd be jamming around.
nice. If I didn't have to go to CSW, I totally would.
Oh yeah, I forget that that's a yeah, oh, boy. Well,
Yeah.
uh, I saw the tattoo on your wrist, the little Harry Potter glasses.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, you a pothead too?
I am. I really much am. Yeah.
What
Gets me.
I mean, where did you start watching the movies? Did you dive into the books first, or?
So when I said that there was a point in time where I kind of stopped watching TV and all that, it was because I started reading a lot more. And my dad had bought me the first. I wasn't really into them when they first came out. So my dad bought me the first Harry Potter book for Christmas that year when it came out, and then he took me to go see the movie when it came out a year
Mhm.
later, and I fell in love with it. I was like, "This is so cool! Like, what is this?" And at the time, I think the first like three books were out, and then my dad. I have this thing about like giant monsters. Like, I love creature features, and how
Yeah,
the
same.
second book has the basilisk and
Yes.
Aragog in it. Yeah. So I started reading. I actually started with the second book first, and then like I went from there on throughout the series, and I've loved them ever since. Like, I've always always loved Harry Potter. I was Harry Potter for Halloween up until I was in like sixth grade, seventh grade, no seventh grade, yeah. And it's because everyone,
Okay.
I have one of those too. It's because everyone used to say that I looked like Harry Potter because I used to have like those round glasses.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, now we know what you got to do for Carnival this year in October.
Uh,
Oh my God, we got to do the Colorado Clique as the Harry Potter crew.
I am
Like you'll
so
be
down.
Hermione, we can have Chase be Ron, we can have you be Harry, and then we'll make Major Glory Hagrid. It's easy,
I
simple.
love it. I love that
That's
idea.
so easy. Like,
I'm gonna
and the
run that by
costumes are
them.
so readily available.
And like now there's so many different Harry Potter costumes you can choose from. Back when I was in like third, fourth grade, it was either like Harry Potter or like Harry Potter. Now you can be like Harry Potter, you can be Hermione, you can be Hagrid.
Yeah, you got them all. And then they have different variations. You could just get the mask, but no, I need Chase with the bright red hair.
Luckily,
And
I'm
then
very good at red hair, so
do one of the have him do the deluminator, and then
so
have the
yeah, the
Roxy
little.
actually turn the lights off, and then everyone switch positions or something, and then have one of you guys cast a spell and the lights turn back on. I can get into this,
we're
okay?
gonna
I
we're
can
gonna
be
have to sit
creative
down
for
and
this
talk
match.
about this. I love this.
Yeah, I will produce that match big time. JV, you hear me? All right. It's like I want to do the Dungeons and Dragons match Ryan brought up. Okay, where we have two wrestlers in the ring, and me and Larry break out dice, and we start rolling on the stage, and we pretend like we're doing stuff, and the wrestlers are the. Telling you, we could do it'd be a whole mess of fun. We got a Facebook user. It doesn't show your name. If you want to name drop yourself in the chat. Said I feel like I'm raving with your background. I appreciate that. Love my background. It's given to me by my wonderful wife. She got me a
Let's say
cool
that
light.
looks really cool.
And then I got, my Mandela and all my whatever, all the patterns and stuff. Just helps with the brain, I think.
It is very stimulating.
Then hotheads, obviously. My guys, they love that. My dog is very unhappy right now. So mad at us. Do you have any social medias or Twitter or anything that you want to plug?
I do have, as far as like social media goes, I have a Frenchy page. It should be when you look it up. It should say Frenchy, like the Mile High Misfit. If not, either way you type in Frenchy, you'll see my picture. Like it's not like you wouldn't recognize me if you saw it. My Instagram is Mr. underscore Frenchy. So it's MISTER and then underscore Frenchy. And I should probably clarify this because a lot of people spell it wrong. Sometimes it's FRENCHY.
It's yeah.
I've yet to make a Twitter though. Not with the IE, no.
Not IE, yeah. Well, I absolutely love you, man, and I appreciate you coming.
I love you too. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, it was a blast. It's nice to dive into a little bit more of the Anthony. Get to know you and the person behind the French Meister. I will be seeing you Friday tomorrow. We will be at BPW.
We will be, yes.
Up with the product. I keep wanting to call him the prospect. That's not going to change.
But well, isn't there the prospect and the product? Isn't that two? Aren't those two people?
The product is now James.
Oh, that's right, because they changed it at CSW.
Yeah, he got the upgrade. He leveled up.
He's now middle management.
This is basically my job within Primos. I got you. Is there anything else that you want to lean into here, man, before we get up out of here? Or, shout outs to anybody or?
I mean, obviously shout out to Primos and the butcher shop for all that they have done for me to help me get to where I'm at. They really gave me like a platform to stand on. Also to the other promotions, CSW, BPW, Battleground Pro Wrestling, Colorado Springs Wrestling, Colorado Wrestling Connection. I'm excited to work with all of them. This whole wrestling thing is actually taking off for me, and I'm just in such shock/awe about it.
It's kind of seems like that's happening to a lot of us. Like a lot of us within this Colorado wrestling scene are getting a rub, if you will. I think it goes to show just how respectful a lot of us are. We're not here just for ourselves. We make this a team effort, and we try to create something that's bigger than just our match,
Yeah.
A lot of the times I'll see you guys out there for other people's matches, cheering them on, rooting them on, and that's huge because there's a lot of locker rooms where when their match is done, they're done. They might as well have left the arena. So I appreciate what you bring to the culture. I appreciate your face and yourself. You're one of my favorite people within professional wrestling and Primos. I will see you tomorrow, Anthony.
Awesome.
Thank you for being on here, brother.
Yes, I appreciate you also, and I will see you tomorrow as well.
Make sure you have that bracelet, not tomorrow, but soon.
Well, it'll be soon because, like I said, I had to go get glow in the dark beads because I don't have any glow in the dark beads.
Stars, those little glow in the dark star.
The little. What's funny is when I first started making when my friend gave me the idea for like the little candy bracelets, the first ones I made had those little glow in the dark stars on them. But when I went to go and like buy them to make them, they didn't have any, and it was like, well, I better start making these right away, and I'll have to come back and make those. But now I know that you have a request, and I can get them for you.
See, and they're like, that's actually the vibe because we're at a point now where everybody's so flamboyant. Doesn't matter where you lean or how you bend. Everybody's into the hoochie daddy shorts or being bright neon colors or So
the hoochie daddy shorts.
Hey, I'm wearing some right now. These bad boys right there.
Oh my god, I love it. You did exactly what I told you. That's more thigh.
Yes, I know. I did it just for you. I appreciate you coming on here, and I will see you tomorrow, brother.
All right, see you tomorrow, buddy.
Later, man.
Later.
That's been the Sweet Spot with Rocco McSweets. I'm Rocco McSweets. That was Anthony Frenchy. Last name's wild as hell, so I ain't gonna try and say it. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me, spending your day here. It's been what, about an hour? It was a wonderful hour. The time flew by. One of my favorite interviews to date. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of ad action, and I'm going to get up out of here. You guys have a wonderful evening.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like Boomstick Lady. No free throw is safe from the roar of her sticks. SeatGeek helps her find a seat in the direct eye line of the shooter so she can sit where her boomsticks make the biggest boom. Everybody okay? SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.